Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week we're doing match day 3 predictions for the Premier League. This weekend there's some massive fixtures involving my own club, Liverpool versus Chelsea. This is a massive fixture so early in the season already. It's a massive chance for both clubs to prove their worth this season for the title. And it's an early 6-pointer just before the international break to make or break time for some of these clubs to start to prove their reasoning behind a title tries this season. But before we get into this week's predictions, let's look back at my predictions last week and see how close I got to some of the results. Premier League for Game Week 2. The scores on the right is the actual result. The scores on the left are my predictions. So I was spot on for the Liverpool-Burnley game. I got the winners correct in the Villa versus Newcastle game, but unfortunately the result was wrong by a goal. I got the result correct in the Brentford Palace game, but I was hoping for a few more goals. I predicted Leeds to win, but ended up with a 2-2 draw. A lot of goals like I predicted. In Man City, I predicted 4-0. It was 5. Again, I predicted a lot of goals in that game. This one I was probably very off on. I predicted a 2-1 Watford win, and it was a 2-0 Brighton win. So I was proven wrong completely by the Seagulls. So fair play to them. They played really well, dominated the game, pressed really high, just shut Watford out. Watford very rarely had a chance, and Brighton were clinical when they actually had the chances. No Malpay, a good goal. Basuma was absolutely outstanding, proving his worth for the teams looking at him higher in the table. Then Sunday's results, again, I was a little off on this one as well. I predicted a 2-0 United win. It was only a 1-1 draw in the end, which I was happy with from a Liverpool fan, but obviously predictions point of view, I was wrong. And from the chance I saw, Man United unlucky to score at one point, cleared off the line, and also Southampton had a good chance late on, but De Gea made a good save. In this one, I predicted a 1-1 draw with all Spurs, but Spurs came out 1-0 winners even, with Dele Alli scoring from the spot. I did predict Chelsea to win 3-1, but they won 2-0. Again, a very confident performance from Chelsea, dominated from start to finish, really, especially in that first half. It was all over them. Scored some fantastic goals. Lukaku absolutely dominated Pablo Mari, straight back to the Premier League where he left off, especially with Everton, not and kind of so with Man U, but dominated them from start to finish. Outstanding, hold up the ball, laid it off. Got a good goal as well on his return to the Premier League and his first goal in the Premier League for Chelsea. In Monday's game, West Ham shut me right up. I predicted a 2-1 Leicester win, and they went and smashed Leicester 4-1. Yes, there was a red card, but they dominated that game again. Didn't really look like losing at all. Leicester, even before the red card, didn't look very good. West Ham, very good. And then, yeah, rightfully winners in the end. Now, let's have a look at my predictions for match week 3. This are my predictions for match week 3 in the Premier League, the last match week before the international break. A 12:30 kickoff, I've gone for Man City to beat Arsenal 3-0. I just think Man City too good. Arsenal are good enough, haven't proved it in recent weeks in the Premier League. Yes, they look fantastically against West Brom in the EFL Cup, but just completely different ball game, isn't it? Man City and West Brom in the Cup, to be honest. So I don't think they'll be good enough, and I think they'll lose 3-0. I think Villa will continue their good form and beat Brentford 2-1. I think Brentford had a good start to the season. Draw and a win, obviously against Arsenal, but I think they'll lose it to get their first defeat of the season away at Villa. I think Brighton will keep up their result from last week. I think they'll get a good point against Everton, which for them is a good result. Everton not so. Obviously, they probably hope to beat the teams of Brighton, but I think 1-0 is a fair result. I think if Brighton play how they did against Watford and take the chances when they dispossess and press high up against Everton, they can definitely cause them issues. But I think Everton's attack with Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison will just be too much, and I do think they'll concede Brighton, and I think it'll be 1-0. Gone quite a boring 1-0 for Southampton against away at Newcastle for this one. I think Newcastle have a lot of great players, obviously in St Maximum, and obviously now getting Joe Willock on the transfer and Callum Wilson. But I mean, Southampton, they proved it against United. They can do well against some of the good teams. So I think if they hold out, defend well like they did against United, and take that one chance that comes their way, then I think they can scrape a 1-0 win here away at St James's Park against Newcastle. For the next 3 game, I've gone for Leicester to beat Norwich 2-0. Norwich have been poor defensively, but obviously they played 2 of the best teams in the league. So obviously not expecting them to do too well, but I think Leicester will bounce back after the harrowing defeat against West Ham. It was a bit of a shake-up for them, and they have to stand up and be counted a little bit. for the international break. You've got to try and get a bit of form going. So I think they'll win this game comfortably 2-0. And then finally, we got West Ham against Crystal Palace. I think West Ham win this 2-0. They proved me wrong last week by smashing Leicester. I think they'll continue going into the international break on the high with 3 wins out of 3. And I think they'll beat Palace 2-0 in the London derby. Up next, we have the 5:30 game, which is between Liverpool-Chelsea, the biggest game of the weekend, involving my team. And I have obviously backed my team into beating Chelsea 2-1. I don't think we've got enough to beat him. I think at home, later kick-off, good atmosphere, Anfield. I think the first major proper game at Anfield. Big crowd, big game, big teams, big players. I think it'll just create an immense atmosphere. And I think Van Dijk will have a great game against Lukaku. I think it'll be a tough game for both to keep him quiet. But I think he's got what it takes, Van Dijk. It's a different ball game to Pablo Mari, to be honest, 100%. I think he'll do what he does usually and just keep him quiet. He very rarely gets bullied, Van Dijk. So I think he'll have a great game against Chelsea. I think for being in front of him and Matip alongside him will support him greatly. Not that he needs much support, but I think he'll keep him relatively quiet. I can see Mo Salah scoring against his old club again. I can just sit 2-1. I just got a feeling that we'll turn it up and we'll show up while we're here this season. We're not here to mess around. I do think we'll concede a sloppy goal. And 2-1, I've gone for Liverpool. Let's hope they prove me right. And then move on to Sunday's games. Got 3 fixtures. We've got 2 at 2 o'clock. So the first 2 o'clock game is Burnley at home to Leeds. I've gone for Leeds to win this one 2-1. I think these first 2 games, they've shown that they can score goals against good teams. But they've also shown they concede a lot of goals. So I think this one they will concede again. I think Burnley is a very different test to what any other team is in the Premier League. It's a very dominant, physical, aggressive challenge. I just don't think Leeds will be up for it, and I do think they'll concede. But I do think Leeds will score some goals against this Burnley defence. So I think they'll win this game 2-1 and bounce back after last week's draw and United's result before that. And then I've got Spurs to beat Watford 3-0 at home. I think Harry Kane come back to the starting 11 will give a massive boost in front of the home fans. Just pull the international break and they'll win this game quite comfortably. I reckon Kane will rattle a couple of goals as well and prove why he decided to stay and not just the fact that Daniel Levy wouldn't let him go. And finally, the 4:30 kickoff, I've gone for Manchester United to win and get all 3 points away at Wolves and win 2-0. Obviously, the news today is Ronaldo joining Manchester United. Or as it stands, he's got a medical and stuff to do, but he looks pretty set. It's a fantastic sign. Obviously, he's 36. He's not the same player he once was, but Cristiano Ronaldo has that effect on teams, players. He strikes fear into the opposition. If you line up and you see Ronaldo next to him, you're going to be scared regardless. And I think he just gives a boost to everyone around him. Especially a lot of them, that Man United players, it's quite young squads. You look around, they've got Sancho, he's a young player. There's a couple of young players in that team. So I think with this, the inexperience, I think a lot of them realistically on the massive sort of scale. Obviously, they played Euro. A lot of them might have played in the Euro final, stuff like that. But I think in those sort of games where they've got to dig in, I'm not sure they've got that sort of leadership in that team. But Ronaldo brings that. He's got that leadership that they maybe didn't have before. So I think that he'll add a lot to them. Obviously, he won't be playing in this game, but after international break, he'll add a lot to that team. But yeah, I've gone for United to win 2-0. So they are my predictions for this upcoming weekend in the Premier League. Let me know in the comments below what you think the predictions are going to be. I'm thank you for all the support so far. It's been phenomenal. I just want to keep growing, keep getting better, keep improving, keep bringing out the videos. My plan for next week is to do some sort of Champions League prediction video because obviously there's no Premier League football due to the international break. So I'll do a Premier League, like I did for the Premier League. I'll do a winners, underachievers, that sort of stuff like that. And let me know in the comments how you think I can improve, any sort of video ideas you want me to do. But overall, just thank you for all the work. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Thank you for all the support and thank you for watching.